At the end of the first Wonder Woman movie, we also see Steve Trevor sacrifice himself for the greater good. And it was his sacrifice that pushed Wonder Woman over the edge and gave her all the internal motivation that she needed to overpower and defeat the villain Ares. So how does he return back for the sequel, as it is confirmed that we will see Chris Pine as Steve Trevor in Wonder Woman 1994, which is set some 40 years after the events of the first movie. And where has he been all this time? Well, the answer to these questions is closely linked to the main villain and the title of the movie itself, that is the year 1984.
My name is Captain Steve Trevor, pilot, American Expeditionary Forces, serial number 8141.
We have known since a long time that Wonder Woman's classic villain Cheetah is going to be one of the key villains in the movie, but as it turns out, she won't be the only one. Patty Jenkins, the director of the movie, confirmed that Game of Thrones star Pedro Pascal is playing the role of Maxwell Lord from the comics. Maxwell Lord might not be one of these infamous villains like the Riddler or Joker, but he had a very significant impact on the character of Wonder Woman, and there is a very clever reason why DC went with him as the villain for the sequel. You see, Maxwell Lord has this power of telepathy, and just like Charles Xavier from X-Men, he too can make people believe in things that are non-existent or just plain fiction. There was this one time in the comics when he had Superman believe that Wonder Woman was killing Lois Lane, and as you'd imagine, things got pretty ugly amongst the members of the Justice League. Finally, Wonder Woman had to kill Maxwell Lord to stop Superman and bring him back to reality. But I don't think we will see Wonder Woman kill Maxwell Lord in the movies, considering the amount of backlash that Man of Steel received because of Superman killing Zod. But when Maxwell Lord can do that to Superman, there's no doubt that he can mess up with Wonder Woman herself in her upcoming solo movie, making her believe that Steve Trevor is back from the dead. And there's another very good reason that this might truly be the case, and we'll get to that in a minute. But in case you had any doubts that Steve Trevor didn't actually die at the end of the movie, or he was somehow saved by the Greek gods, then the cast of the movie, including Gal Gadot herself, clarified that he indeed died, and they don't plan to undercut his sacrifice by undoing his death. And that to an extent does make sense. After all, his death had quite an impact on Diana Prince, and it is one of the defining moments of Wonder Woman as a character. Patty Jenkins recently said in one of her interviews that it is actually Steve Trevor that we see in the movie's footage. It is neither some Steve Trevor Jr. or some shapeshifter like Martian Manhunter pretending to be Steve Trevor. So if both Gal Gadot and Patty Jenkins are telling us nothing but truth, then there is only one way that works out, and as discussed, Maxwell Lord is the missing piece of the puzzle. But that's not it. As it turns out, there is more. There's a very specific reason that DC selected the year 1994. And when Jenkins was asked about it, she said that she felt like there was something about the excess of that time period which is so linked up to where we are in the world right now, and it's set there for a reason. And what is that reason, you wonder? Well, there's this incredibly famous book by Geroge Orwell titled 1984, and I suggest you read this one if you can, because it's truly an awesome novel. But now if you ask, what has that to do anything with Wonder Woman? Well, it might have to do more with this sequel than we are led to believe. 1984 is a classic literary example of political and dystopian fiction. Many terms used in the book have entered common uses, so even if you hadn't read the book, you might be familiar with some of these concepts and terms that are used in the book. For example, Big Brother, Double Thing, Thought Crime, Room 101, Telescreen, and the best one, 2 + 2 = 5. 1984 also deals with official deception, secret surveillance, misleading terminology to control masses, and manipulation of recorded history. So I guess by now you might be putting 2 and 2 together, as on one hand you have these 1984 themes, and then you have the villain Maxwell Lord, who is in fact all about deception and manipulation. And I believe it might actually be him who might be responsible for the ill fate of the archaeologist, Barbara and Minerva. He might have somehow manipulated her to go down the path that eventually transformed her into Cheetah, and then he might end up using Cheetah to get back to Wonder Woman. As in the comics, these two actually were great friends before Barbara turned into Cheetah, and she ended up blaming Wonder Woman for failing to save her. I have done a separate video on the villain Cheetah, exploring her origin and powers. The link to the video will be in the upper right corner. So overall, I think Cheetah might just be a pawn in Maxwell Lord's big game, whose endgame might be all about shaping the perception of society by controlling information and other propagandas. And with that, we'll bring this video to an end. Thanks for watching, and let me know your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more upcoming content.